A Man in Full series review. A Man in Full is a new drama miniseries on Netflix. I had only seen one or two trailers or mentions of it, but when I saw it was directed by my good sis Regina King, I had to watch it to support. I didn't see the full trailer. I didn't know what I was walking into. I just knew it was directed by Regina King, and I knew she was a director because in the book my children and I created, the About Black Culture series, which is celebrating Black culture through the alphabets and through numbers. Since Regina King made page 15, because at this time she had 15 director credits. So y'all can go scoop this up. It's learning about Black culture by the numbers 1 through 100. Tracing, educational, fun, and coloring. All the things, all the things. So I had a few hours to kill because unfortunately my uncle passed away, and we are putting together these cowbells for him. He used to take cowbells to all the football games. So we're making 200 of these to pass out at his funeral for when the casket, right. All right. So I got notes. Let's dive into these notes. I do reviews every now and then, but instead of me being all like, okay, like trying to remember bullet points, child, I was just taking notes through the series. So it initially, it put me in the mind of the Shooting Aces movie from years gone by. Fast-paced scenes followed by painfully slow burn scenes. I mean, slow burn. So the first episode, I was like, okay. It introduces you to everyone and their, totally, completely disjointed lives. And you're wondering, okay, how do all of these people come together? How do they relate? Of course, we're going to figure it all out, right? Instantly taking note that the movie takes place in Atlanta. And I was excited because I was like, oh, I know where that is. I've been down that street. I know exactly where that is. Shout out to the Georgia Film Commission. Love it. The camera angles were very unique. It kind of put me in the mind of Kill Bill. Same thing with the rock and rolly music, in different genres. It's like you couldn't really put your finger on any particular style of music. The music is all over the place. But when I tell you the music sets the tone, the music sets the tone. I'm not sure where Regina King is from, or whoever the writer is, where they're from, but they did a very good job of depicting life here in the South. As a Southern girl, this film felt like I was just walking, like I literally just left my garage and walked into any office space, any street, and this is what life is like. Any conversation. It's if billions, I think it's on Showtime. If billions happened in the dirty South. What you really know about the dirty South? What you really know about the dirty South? That's exactly what A Man in Full is. Emphasis on the dirty boy South. I'm sorry. Emphasis on the dirty South. The dirty South. Where you have the good old boy network of middle-aged white men who only see themselves and their accomplishments. They can't see beyond themselves and their experiences. It's not about you or anything you've experienced, just me and my experiences. And I took that note long before episode 6. That's like at the top of my notes because I was like, oh my gosh, this is the good old boy network doing what they do. Middle-aged white men rubbing elbows, shaking hands, playing golf, and either trying to build each other up and cut everybody out or tear each other down. That's it. They only see each other. By episode 3, I was like, okay, I see what you got going on here. I knew going into it, Regina King wasn't going to produce any BS, but I still wanted to. I wasn't all the way dialed in by episode 3. Like I said, it was a slow burn, but the fire was coming. As an author, I pay attention to character development, and the character who stood out to me the most was Conrad. So Conrad has an interaction with the police, black man, white police in the South. You already know how this goes. Thankfully, he didn't die. So I was like, whew, okay, trigger, because if that happened, I would have turned it off. But to watch his transition, it was amazing. And he didn't transition so far that he couldn't get back to himself. And it's almost like his transition was more outward in the way he appeared versus the internal transition. But you still saw him change. And I was like, wow. I was instantly taken to when I was going through counseling with my now ex-husband. And the counselor said to him, what happens when you put an animal in the corner? He said, my ex-husband said, well, or the count, one of them said, the animal gets scared. What happens when you put an animal in the corner with their children? The animal is ready to fight. And that is what you see. You see Conrad be scared, but his wife is expecting a child. So he instantly goes into survival mode, fight mode, where he has to portray himself in a certain way to stay alive. And then at the end, you see him kind of recoil back into his, what seems to be his normal demeanor. Love the character development on Conrad. It was great. There's a great battle of tipping the scales where I believe it's in episode 5. There's a parallel between two scenes of, or two scenarios of power. Who's going to rise to the top? And one of the scenarios seems to be a battle lost, while the other seems to be a battle won. You don't necessarily have a lot of empathy in one of the scenarios. It's more like, oh my gosh, you're so entitled. And then the other one is like, oh my, can you not see what's happening here? Can you not get what's, so you develop empathy, like for Conrad, for his wife, for the lawyer pleading his case. And then in the other scene where you have this billionaire who is just so pompous and arrogant and like, come on, dude, you know you need to pipe down. You can see him having a penis measuring contest. Two males having penis measuring contests, and they talk about it at length. That the conversations, the vernaculars, the words they use, it was just like, that's a little bit heavy on the peen talk, but you get it because it's the good old boy network, and that's what middle-aged white men talk about. But yes, so you see the power struggle is very evident in two different scenarios. But baby, there was a scene where my mouth dropped at the same time as the main characters. It was a twist I did not see coming. And I believe this is episode 5, because at this point now we're almost at the climax of the series, and both me and the main character were both like, that doesn't happen to me very often. Again, as an author, as a publisher, I've helped publish over 200 books at this point. I have read just about every genre there is. I know plots and schemes and twists and plot holes because I look for them, when I'm developing my clients' manuscripts. It's not very often that I am shocked, and I literally was like staring at the TV like, what the hell just happened? Oh my gosh. The ending, pure comedic genius. Like the literal last 5 seconds of the series just kind of summed everything up. It gave us another chuckle. There was a connection I would have liked to see explored a little bit more with two secondary, well, it was a secondary and a tertiary character. We see there's mention of this character throughout the whole series. And then we see a profile of him in a car conversation, and the series, that episode ends. And then I'm like, okay, we're going to get more of it in the next episode. And then we don't. That was a little bit of a letdown. I really wanted that to play out a little bit better, but I guess it didn't need to because the series was great. I watched all 6 episodes in one sitting. Again, I am a busy single mom. I have a flourishing business. I am I guess this is what helped me do it. These fume favors, as we call it down here. But I also have ADHD. And so for me to sit down through an entire series does not happen. Kudos to you, Regina King. I am proud of you, sis. I look forward to seeing more drama from you, girl.